S-D-P-P. The Steve Dangle Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
You know, the issue that I have is when you... Well, constantly a problem. Yeah.
Toe fungus.
Yep. Never had toe fungus. I've had athlete's foot.
No.
Yeah.
What's
my
it
issue?
Called? Gingivitis.
My issue with people often stems from an inability to take ownership of the issues that you create. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Today, I retweeted a tweet by a very nice young man who has listened to the show for a long time, has always been kind, and who I learn a lot from. He's a statistician. His name's Arvy. He does a podcast with Fullerman. Like both of those guys so much. They're an awesome part of Leafs Twitter. And I retweeted something that he tweeted at me and like dunked on him. And I didn't mean to. It wasn't like I didn't go at it like, I'm gonna fucking show this guy. But I did it and then went back and went, damn it. So what did I do? We continued the debate, and then at the end of it, I said, you know what, I'm sorry, too. And there's the ambulance coming from my house because I'm about to set it on fire. The real issue I have here is I misdirected anger.
Is the ambulance coming from a fire? I feel like
to rescue my body, okay?
Like
or my dogs. They're here to rescue my freaking dogs.
Okay.
They're going to be dragging you out.
Here's
Bindi and Cedric.
Yeah, no, save Bindi and
dog
Cedric.
Jerk thing.
Save Bindi and Cedric. I'm fine. I will fight that fire. I'm hotter than that. All right. This all comes down to a comment Kyle Dubas made in the press conference, which happened just minutes ago, where he rightly pointed out that the Leafs defense was not the problem in the series. He rightly pointed out that over the 5 games, they allowed, I think it was 12 goals, 2 of which were empty netters, and that's a reasonable amount to expect. And I agree. My issue came with the fact that he didn't acknowledge the other 70 games where they were the 5th worst defensive core, including goalies, in the league. So he says, I somewhat get the criticism about the Leafs, but hey, about our defense, but these 5 games though, were really good. And he again, Arvin rightly pointed out that Kyle Dubas was completely correct in that statement. However, if you don't take ownership, Kyle, of the way this Leafs defense played the 70 games leading up to this, and you expect that this 5-game little set is as good as that's them playing at their peak, and they didn't have Muzzin. Well, then what am I to do with the Leafs offense that scored goals in bunches all season long, did it again in the playoffs, and can't get a timely goal and can't score regularly? There's a difference. You can outscore a team 8-3, 7-6, whatever. That's great. That'll pump up your goal stats. But what about the days where you need to win 2-1? And then follows
like Game 5 against the Bruins.
And then follows it up. This is Kyle Dubas again. Follows it up with, I know Cody Ceci.
What did he follow it up with, Adam?
Followed it up with, I know Cody Ceci's much maligned, but our internal data shows that he's a pretty good hockey player. Now, I'm paraphrasing. But if that is what your internal data shows, Kyle Dubas and company, stop fucking looking at it. Stop. Are you kidding?
It's the IntelliLink.
Stupid? Listen, I understand. I get that you picked up a guy that was your guy that you wanted to work out and it didn't work out. I'm sure you wanted Tyson Barrie to, and we'll get to that later. I'm sure you wanted him to work out better. Believe me, I did too. I was the one saying, please, Cody Ceci, be 5% better than Nikita Zaitsev, and this team will be great. 5%. That's all I said.
That's it? Just 5?
I said it. I was like, great.
5%.
And I said at our live event last summer, when somebody rightly put up their hand and said, Cody Ceci's concerning, I was like, no, it's cool. Contract expires at the end of the year. And if he's just a little bit better than Nikita Zaitsev, we're fine.
Mm-hmm.
What I cannot take is Kyle Dubas getting up there and saying, no, internally, he's good. How about on the ice? This is not a good player. Cody Ceci, I doubt highly, by most metrics, is an NHL player. If that is your data, the data is the problem. Change the data.
My girlfriend goes to another school.
My girlfriend, yeah, right, there it is. What is this? And then the thing is, I'm a Kyle Dubas fan. I'm a stats fan. I believe that you should take a reasoned approach with numbers. But the reality is, if you're looking at the wrong numbers, you're going to be picking the wrong people. And this is insane. I can't believe I'm sitting here listening to a general manager of the biggest team in the sport say, you know what, Cody Ceci, you guys, you're sleeping on Cody Ceci. We watched. We saw everything that you saw. And I know that you don't want to admit that you made a mistake here. Admit you made a mistake here. And they asked about the Tyson Barrie thing, and which I thought was a much more reasonable answer. He said, if there's anything I take away from the Tyson Barrie trade, it's how do we get people into our system faster? And he said the same thing, kind of hinted at Kerfoot. Don't mind that at all. I think he's right. I mean, you saw what happened when Mike Babcock actually changed. Well, the coach changed. And I believe that this team, for the first 23 games, is a lot different from the team that played afterwards. But not enough. Not enough. And they reverted back to the team that Babs kind of said they were. And this is the frustrating point, is there's people actually debating me, trying to tell me, no, the Leafs defense is good. Just look at the last 5 games. What about the previous 70? Are we kidding? Come on. You can't tell me there isn't a better system. You can't tell me they aren't more committed. I'm talking forwards. I'm talking not having the worst backup I've ever seen play for the Leafs. And I saw Trevor Kidd play for the Leafs.
No. You will not compare Michael Hutchinson earnestly to Don Beaupre, who was the Leafs backup for a whole season and never got a win. Not one. He was the first Leaf.
Did Hutch get one this year? Come on.
He got a shutout.
Oh, right, he did.
Against the Islanders. A playoff team, don't you know?
Adam, what if Kyle Dubas wasn't trying to say that the Leafs defense was good all season? That he was just trying to say that the Leafs defense did their job in this series?
Not fucking good enough, man. Not good enough. Oh, good. You limited the team with the third least amount of goals for the entire series to 12 goals over 5 games. Wow. Holy man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Please do that again. Who beat them in less goals scored? I think it was Detroit and fucking Ottawa or New Jersey. It's one of those teams. Are you kidding me? You're gonna slap yourself on the back for stopping a team that can't score and losing to them? Really? Of course your defense looks better. They suck on offense.
Jesse and I have been meaning to have this intervention for a while, but you've been notably the angriest and most emotional member of this podcast for quite some time. And we want to know if you're doing all right.
I'm angry and I'm guilty. I feel very guilty for what I did to a very nice person who's always been super nice to me on Twitter. I deleted that tweet. I was an asshole and I'm sorry.
What's his name?
Arvin.
Oh, it's Arvin?
A-R-V-I, yeah.
A-R-V-I.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to block him right now.
I feel guilty about that because I always do something stupid when I'm angry. And I'm angry because nobody's coming out here and going, you know what? You're right, we sucked. This was not a good season. Just say it. Everybody that saw this team, you can debate me on the reasons why. I will totally be open to that. But do not tell me for 1 second that the team you saw this year had you convinced. I said it in November. I said, until this team actually makes the second round, I have no faith in them. I was right. And the thing is, it's like, well, not a lot of teams make the second round. Well, not a lot of teams have 3 guys making $11 million up front. I think teams with 3 guys, $33 million on one line, should be able to crack the second line. Is that too much to ask? Is that crazy? Like, seriously. No, I'm asking you guys. Is that too hard to ask? And another guy making 7, who, by the way, had a great season? I don't understand why we set this bar so low. 4 years of this. The first 2, underdogs. Boston last year, I guess you could say somewhat close to even, but Boston's the better team. Better team. May not have more talent, better team. This year, no excuse. You should steamroll a team that cannot score. And you didn't.
Who's a better team? Tampa or Columbus?
Man, Columbus almost showed that they were last night, too.
Who's a better team? Tampa or Columbus?
I'll go Columbus. That's a better team. 7 periods of hockey, and I know they didn't win.
Last year.
Team. Definition of team.
Last year, who's a better team? Tampa or Columbus?
Tampa.
It's very obviously Tampa.
Yes.
Sometimes the inferior team wins.
Right. So what?
And like this is what I'm getting at is it's. At what point do you get sick of it never being you?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Well, how about this? You're the common denominator here. At what point do you take responsibility? Oh, it's a chaotic game. Well, that's what you signed up for.
Listen
and that's
to
what
the
I signed
winners.
up for as a fan, and I realized that.
Listen to the winners on this team.
The best chance to win. But they aren't doing that. They're not doing that. I mean, they got this. They got the Sheldon Keefe training camp they needed. They got the players they needed. They got the right-handed shot defenseman they needed. They got the backup goalie finally that they needed a little too damn late in the season, frankly. Come on. Like, I can't underestimate how much Michael Hutchinson cost them. He did. He cost them huge. Those games would have completely changed who they played. I agree with that take. I cannot understate how badly Mike Babcock's coaching at the beginning of this season cost them. It cost them huge. But at the end of the day, when you have this much talent on the roster, it should come through. And mentally, it's not there. And I didn't see the accountability that I needed to see before the media today. And you can disagree with me on that too. But frankly, Kyle Dubas should have got in front of that microphone and said we weren't good enough. He did say we were about what we were in the standings.
Dubas's thing is the playbook. You see something twice in a row, it might not be a coincidence, right?
Yes.
So the end of the year press conference he is jump on the grenade guy. We already know, players coach. He's a player's GM. Mm-hmm. Wants to be everyone's friend, rightly or wrongly with the contracts, but seems pretty smart, very caring. The Ilya Mikheyev thing with the hospital and staying there for a week.
Nobody's suggesting he's not.
No, I know. But we know that part of the playbook. The quotes that spoke to me the most today were Jake Muzzin, because he sounds like a guy who's won. He sounds like a guy who's frustrated, and he also sounds optimistic. It's weird. So first of all, in his quotes, he said he's doing all right, which is good from his injury. He said, here's a quote from Luke Fox, "I believe this is a group capable of winning it all." So there's one. Here's another from Kristen Chilton. "If we're not learning from this, we're really losing. I hope guys understand that we've got to dig in to the next level, and that'll bring this team further along." From Jonas Siegel, "This team needs to dig in more." From Mark Masters, "Consistently throughout the season will allow for when different situations come about in playoffs. You've won different ways, and it's just second nature, and away you go. It definitely starts in the regular season, creating good habits."
Now, this regular season was weird, but let's not pretend that their regular season that they did put on was pushing them towards any good habits.
Well, this is the thing now. I want to address one thing I said last show, and then I'll move on to my point. I said they can trade John Tavares.
No, they can't. We did disagree with that, didn't we, Jesse?
Yeah,
can't trade Tavares.
I don't think anybody thought you were that serious about John Tavares.
No.
I think some people took you seriously, actually. I think you're worse.
No, they did. Islanders fans forced themselves to think I was taking it seriously, which, whatever you got to do to get through the day, man. It's a tough year. But John Tavares can get traded. It's just me spicing up Wayne Gretzky got traded so anyone can get traded, which is a boring thing to say because 1,000 people have said it. That doesn't make it not true. John Tavares was one of the best parts of the Leafs this season. Mm-hmm. And there were so many games where they were not there, and he was. They were not scoring, and he was. They needed a tying goal, and he scored it. They needed a game-winning goal in a game where they didn't deserve to win, and he scored it. Jesse and I saw that in person. That Buffalo Sabres game where we sat between the benches.
Yeah, in the Lotto 649 seats.
Absolutely. They got outshot something like 42-28. They won that in overtime because of a lazy run-of-the-mill dart. Just shed. Just a dairy farmer, John Tavares, standing in the high slot, doing what he does best. John Tavares is not getting traded. But that was me saying, listen, anything to make this team better needs to happen. Now, when it comes to the core, and Jake Muzzin's quotes about digging in. A lot of you are mad at Mitch Marner. They're not trading Mitch Marner. They're not. Who, like you guys said last show, who's taking that contract? And also, he's only going to get better. I did agree with Dubas on that.
Yeah, he's right.
Elliot wrote last night that the team is very high on him in terms of like people's perception on Marner and like the negotiations and how all that went. The team's expectations of Marner are super high, but they also love him a lot, and he's not going anywhere.
Totally,
they believe in him more than the fans do.
Well, and they should.
Yeah,
they made the bet. Yeah. I sure hope they do.
But it's gotten to the point
you don't sign an 8-year contract at $11 million per and go, I'm not really sure we believe in him as much as the fans do.
But that's why you should also temper your expectations on Dubas's comments on Ceci. He's the guy who made that Ceci deal. If he wants to save face publicly and provide all of these excuses for Ceci and be like, hey, you know what? He's a good player, then go ahead.
He lost face, though.
Then sign him.
He owned it.
Kyle, that's my dare. Kyle, I dare you to sign him at 8 years. His numbers are great. I dare you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I dare you.
That's the thing, Jesse. And I know what you're saying.
If
but
a guy wants to lie to the media, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, but you will lose face. You will lose respect. And he doesn't care.
Not Shanahan. That's not coming. Is it to guys on a podcast? Maybe.
Here, I wasn't done my point. Is this what you guys put up with every episode? Jesus, I'm so sorry. Okay, listen, Mitch Marner, he's only going to get better, and we can have a longer conversation about him after, and I think we should.
People are still resentful of what happened last summer, I think is going on.
That's what we should talk about. Austin Matthews, if it was even possible, is only going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I think William Nylander's only going to get better. He's still got a little bit of room. Morgan Riley is almost there, and wow, what a player. Wow, what a player. Maybe he's there. Maybe he doesn't have more to give, but what he has to give is amazing. Well, I was drafted 8 years ago.
If I might add to that quickly, and I'm not trying to interrupt your point, maybe if we gave him a partner, just throwing that out there. Continue.
You know,
Adam, and I'm hoping they find a partner that doesn't work within their data confines, because that's clearly not going to work.
Well, and we'll get to within the data confines later too. Another thing. So I look at that. I look at their best players, and their best players are clearly their best players. I don't even have that complaint about this team during the regular season or how they lost. I would like them to do a better job of taking over. But what I discovered going back through their season a second time is when they needed a goal. You know what? The Columbus series was actually a decent indicator of what's wrong with this team, because what's wrong with this team is not that they're giving the top guys all this money. It's all the $3 and $4 whatever $1 million contracts throughout the lineup that did not. They simply did not. Throughout this season, if they were down in a game, if they're in a tied game, if it's in overtime, they didn't get it. They never got it. And, you know, Mitch Marner taking a penalty or a penalty shot that cost them a couple overtimes. Well, he's on the ice because he's the only one who's going to score for them at 3-on-3, and he's their top penalty killer. That's why he was on the ice. Right? That's why he was in that situation. So your best players are going to be in all those situations. What I was talking about with big changes before they even lost the series was the rest of the lineup. We in terms of overestimating this team, which was a big theme of what we talked about last show, as I re-listened to it, we overestimated this team's depth.
That's a good point.
This team's depth. We talked about it in that Washington series. It came at you in waves. And Washington, with all their star power, barely had an answer for it. First line, second line, third line, fourth line. And all those guys, like some guys took a step backward. Some guys were maybe signed in the wrong damn year. I liked Alexander Kerfoot. That's not a game breaker. Like,
Serviceable.
I like Andreas Janssen. It's not a game breaker. I like Kasperi Kapanen. Not a game breaker.
Great penalty killer. Like his penalty kill.
Strangest thing about him is this was probably his most disappointing playoffs.
Yeah.
Last year, I mean, was just another version of what we talked about with him for a long time. He shouldn't be playing in the top 6. But him on the third line, he's bloody great. Now, can you afford to pay over $3 million for someone on your third line?
Not this team.
Who's not your center?
Not this team.
I think third line centers are like $3 million minimum these days, unless you drafted a guy. So Kerfoot, to me, can stay unless you find some sort of other deal. But if you're not in the top 6 guaranteed every night, and you're not the third line center, and you make over $2 million, I think you got to go. You got to go because they got to address this defense in a big way. Kyle Clifford getting even 1.5. Nope. In 31 thoughts.
He'll get it. He'll get it. He just won't get it here.
Sure.
He'll get
it. In 31 thoughts, Joe Thornton might be a possibility for the Leafs. Sounds dope. You're getting less than $1 million. Or $1 million or less. You got to take the Spezza deal, or we can't do it. Sorry.
And Spezza's coming back too. He wants to come back. They're going to have him, and they're going to have him back. He's going to come back.
They should give him a slight raise just for putting up with this past season, but still don't put him over $1 million. Depending on what Mikheyev asked for, you need to look at. You could potentially trade him. Even
was he restricted?
He should be restricted, I think.
Okay.
The core, to me, for the most part, did its job. And you look at the teams that win the cup year in and year out. Like, Washington's game breakers stayed game breakers. Their whole playoff run in 2018. And in the Stanley Cup final against Vegas, their best players stayed their best players. Brett Connolly was friggin' huge for them. Devontae Smith-Pelly was friggin' huge for them. Huge for them. My mouth is betraying me right now. I haven't mentioned. The Leafs core, to me, is doing their job, and they're going to take the most criticism. And there's really nothing we can do about that. That's not that. Well, it's not special to this fan base. It's not special to this market. The biggest players take the most guff.
Right.
They need to make huge changes to the bottom 6 that will allow you to address your defense.
Can I make a point here? Just to jump in on that.
You can make as many as you want, Adam.
Nice mug, by the way, Steve.
Thanks. I'm also drinking tea. Oh, you meant this mug?
Yeah. Hey. Okay, so
this guy.
The one thing that
Hi, guys, I'm Dad.
Also, I got Steve that mug for Christmas. I'm just throwing that out there. It's a hockey glove mug. Yeah, I got that for you. And Jesse.
Yeah, mine has
Jesse got that
in
too.
it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that's.
So anyway, I want to shout someone out today that really impressed me.
Is it RV?
No. Already shouted him out.
Oh, right, because you were mean to him.
I was a dick.
Yeah. Sorry, I know Adam's going to be thinking about it the rest of the day. So
I am. I feel awful.
Did you see my tweet to him?
No, did you tweet him?
Yeah, I just said, listen, I like you.
You're such an ass. Listen.
I got to favorite my own tweet. That's a great tweet. I made a great tweet.
My air conditioner's broken and I'm pissed off, but I want to say something positive, damn it.
Is your air conditioner broken?
Yes, that's why I'm sweating like this. I know I normally sweat like this, but I'm sweating even more like this because my air conditioner just decided to break 24 hours ago and it's hot. It's hot.
Oh.
I thought you were a Paisan.
Well, I might be, man. Holy moly, I'm a sweaty guy anyway. But here's the question.
Yeah.
If I am to take the criticism that I applied to Kyle Dubas and apply it to the players as well, who owns it? Who owns it? The guy that, I have to say I respected what Matthews had to say. I respected what Muzzin had to say. Got to find that fire. It was great. Matthews said it's a little bit embarrassing. He doesn't mean a little bit. He's a lot embarrassed. You know that.
A lot embarrassed.
He's a lot embarrassed, and it's a lot embarrassing. He should be embarrassed. Good. I hope he takes it personally and goes Michael Jordan on the whole league next year. But The guy that I want to shout out the most is Mitch Marner.
Shout him out critically or positively?
Positively.
You must not have seen all the Mitch Marner quotes.
I saw the quote. I'm talking about the quote. I'm talking about the Mitch Marner quote that everybody is falling off the face of the earth over. And I'll tell you what I like about that Mitch Marner quote. Jesse, can you bring it up, please? Do you know it? Do you see it?
You'll have to give
We've gone way too far in the other direction with Mitch Marner. Way too far.
Way too far. But this is I like this. This quote to me is progress. This quote to me is leadership. This is what you do when you were embarrassed. And once Jesse brings it up here.
Oh, it's from Marner. I thought it was the Dubas quote on Marner.
No. This is from
Dubas made a quote on Marner where I'm like, get a clue.
Oh, I missed that one. Well, we can look into that.
Well, he doesn't understand the criticism. And I'm like, did you take nothing from last season?
No, he does understand.
Did you take... Well, exactly. He's lying.
Come on. Yes, you
because
come on, Kyle. You're not new.
You went through the Nylander saga and you're shocked?
All right, I got it.
Shut up. You know exactly what's going on here.
Go ahead and read it to us, Jess.
This comes from Terry Koshan of the Toronto Sun. He says,
No, we like Terry.
Mitch Marner on his 5-game series felt he was getting better as it went on. Quote, the first game, I wasn't engaged at all.
I like that quote. I like that quote a lot. You
don't think $11 million is enough to be engaged?
Oh, I'm pissed about that. But I was already pissed about it. I watched the game. I know he wasn't disengaged. The point I like is that he admitted to it. He has the balls to sit in front of his little Zoom call and say, you know what? I wasn't good enough. It's not good enough. That is what I'm looking for. I want somebody to own this. Please, God, own this. Kyle, Cody Ceci is not good enough to be your first-line right-handed defenseman. He's not good enough to play with Morgan Riley. Own that. Sorry, he wasn't good. The data we looked at showed us that he would have been better, and it didn't work, and you know what? We screwed that up. Mitch Marner was not good enough in that first game. Mitch Marner wasn't good enough this series, but Mitch Marner did get better, and Mitch Marner came out and said, wasn't good enough. I was disengaged. Fine, I'll take that. You're a human being. It happens. I don't want to see it again. I want you to win and win and win and win a fucking cup, please. Win a series. Forget a cup. I'll do cartwheels down the street. But Mitch Marner owned it. He owned that. And that is what I'm looking for. Just give me a little bit of, you know what? I screwed up. Wasn't good enough. Going to work to be better next year. What else do you need?
What happened to the years before?
He was pretty good in the playoffs. Well, I mean, he wasn't. Well, he hasn't had a 5. No, he wasn't.
He hasn't had a point since, I think, Washington in an elimination game.
That's true. That is true. Steve, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, Steve, sorry.
From Greg Wyshynski, this quote is from Kyle Dubas. If we're being truthful, the series was lost in Game 1 and at the end of Game 3. You went to bat pretty hard for a team that you just said lost the series in Game 1 of a 5-game series, Kyle. You know, the one thing, a lot of people talk about Lou's faults, and he has many.
He's not going to bat for a team that just submarined his whole plan.
Oh, just the complete difference in styles between Lou and Kyle. That I actually think I like Lou's better.
Yep.
Kyle.
Come on, man.
For your own sanity, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. You give too much ammo to too many people. And I think with quotes like that, you're just confirming everything in the world for people who don't like you, and you're turning people who do like you away. You gotta stop.
So what is it about?
Go ahead. Started with the quote about we're gonna sign them. You know, when he was talking,
we can and we will.
We can and we will.
Well, the agents were like, "Good, we'll put that to the test."
At that moment,
Darren Ferris is like,
blew up. That's when he should have shut it.
You don't need to jack up. You know what? That is Jarmo Kekalainen can say that. You know, the GM of
Don
the
Waddell.
Ducks. Yeah, the GM of the Ducks, the GM of the Dallas Stars, If you have if you're in a market that you need to get excited, you can say that. You don't need to excite Leaf fans. If they get hot, everyone's going to be there. People are going to be there if they suck. They'll just have gotten the tickets for free because their neighbor's cousin or whatever got the tickets somehow because he couldn't sell them. You don't need – we can and we will. And I was ready to run through a wall. You didn't need to – you came out with a new jersey that year. And what did that quote sell more of them? No, you sold more Leaf jerseys that year because there was a new Leaf jersey.
And they won.
Kyle, I want Kyle Dubas to enjoy the fruits of being the Leafs GM, where you don't have to say that shit. You don't have to say that shit. And part of me wonders, so I was talking about his critics versus the people who like him. My only takeaway is I don't think he cares about either. I think he's just talking to and for the players on his team. You know what I mean? Going to bat for all of them, and that you want to sign here because I'm so great to all of you. I'm a real good guy, but man, you went to bat real hard for a team that you also said lost the series in Game 1 and in Game 3. Which also then ignores their historic comeback in Game 4, so I guess you're not even going to give them credit for that then. But what was the point of any of this, Kyle? I guess is my question.
And what's the narrative if they win Game 5?
Well,
then their ghost can take on Tampa because they lost.
I guess we didn't lose. I don't know.
You want to talk about small sample sizes? He wrote them off after Game 1.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about the great defense they played all series? They were out of it after 1. What are you talking about?
Oh, now I'm the calm one and you're amped up. You understand? You get why I'm upset, right? You got why I was upset off the top of the show.
Oh, yeah. No, this team, I think, based on what I'm saying, and you fans of other fan bases, I need you to chime in.
Mm-hmm. Please do.
I want to see if you understand the frustration. Because this team could easily miss the playoffs next season if it's a full 82-game season, or they could easily win the Stanley Cup. This is the frustrating thing. Whenever I look at what they've done, I look at the moves they can make.
But I don't think either of those things are true. I think when you have
one of them is
the 6 guys. I think when you have Riley, Anderson, Tavares, Matthews, Marner, it's not easily missing the playoffs. You have to have a catastrophe to miss the playoffs.
That's a good one.
To win the Stanley Cup with this core would also be a grave overachievement. I think the team lies somewhere in the middle. And I think that's where a lot of the problem stems from, because people's expectations of this team are so sky high when in reality it's an average team that needs to be built in either direction.
And you know what, Jesse? I would agree with that. I think it's good the expectations are high, by the way. If we had low expectations, that's if I'm this whole bullshit narrative of NHL players want to play in a city that doesn't care. If that's true, then they have no interest in the health of the sport. I would prefer our fans don't give a shit. I would prefer to have zero expectations placed upon me. I've only been the best of the best of the best my entire life growing up to get here, and the most competitive person in every single team that I've played on. But no, once I get to the NHL, I just want to coast, man. Just want to coast. I would like to play where there are 3 fans in the stadium, and I want to make my money and go home and watch Real Housewives. That's what I want to do. This is crazy. This is crazy. Of course we have high expectations. Of course we freak out when you lose. And Jesse's right. This team has sky-high expectations. And people are like, well, the media pumps that up. Yeah. Hell yeah. So do you want to pretend that the team doesn't too? You've seen all those sizzle reels. They're awesome.
I got to go back at the people calling the media lazy. The laziest thing in the world is to just blanket blame the media for everything like it's one fucking person.
Well, it's just easy, man.
Shut up.
I'm not going to try to stop that. That's just easy. It's like, well, the media made me think this way. I can't think for myself because I'm not a human.
See, when you say the media says, you are calling Steve Simmons and James Mirtle the same person. I need you to know that. I need you to know that, and that you might be wrong. You might be. Listen, I call Nick Robertson a defenseman. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so, though.
I'm just looking at some tweets to see if there's any so if there's
Are they from the media?
No, but
what did the media say?
This is a very the arm meme where it's like two guys and they're different but they agree. You know that one?
Yeah, it's from Rocky.
Oh, is it from Rocky?
I think so.
And then so it just says, quote, he's very good, actually, and then Dubas and Rutherford. Like, Pittsburgh fans are reaching out and going, wow, this is Jack Johnson. This is Jack Johnson. What's that?
Ceci is Jack Johnson?
Yeah, that they both think that's their guy. Rutherford's guy is Jack Johnson. Remember when we talked about this last year? I don't get the criticism of Jack Johnson. Come on,
yeah, but the difference, Adam, the difference is not only did Rutherford go to bat for Johnson, he then sewered Justin Schultz.
Which is crazy.
It's hilarious. You sewered a guy who won a cup for you.
But if they're tired of Justin Schultz, we'll take him.
Not the boat. Oh, Adam, that was the first thing I thought. But not the boat anchor that you signed a couple of years ago. You're not finding a correlation here? You're not. Oh, we can talk about the mess that is the current Pittsburgh Penguins. But
here's the thing: Pittsburgh's gonna be fine, and the Leafs will be fine too.
Why?
Why
are they gonna be fine?
Crosby, Malkin, Tristan Jarry, Matt Murray. If they can hang on to Matt Murray.
Do you see what I'm talking about? Like Jesse might have tapped into something there.
He's right. No, Jesse was
borderline
absolutely
impossible
right.
for Pittsburgh to miss the playoffs. No, they missed the Stanley Cup playoffs, but let's talk about the very, very unique circumstances surrounding that team. They were the 5 seed.
I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. Matthews said he was frustrated with the fact that they got booted in the first round again. This was not the first round. You did not make the playoffs. The Leafs did not make the playoffs, guys. They didn't make the playoffs. So stop telling me they made the playoffs. These do not count as the playoffs. Yes, I know the stat lines do.
Wait, though. So the Penguins have Crosby. He's always going to be Crosby.
Yep.
Penguins have Malkin.
Yep.
He's always going to be Malkin. Mm-hmm. Penguins have Letang. He's always going to be Letang.
Yeah, despite all the injuries in the world, he's still Letang somehow.
Goaltending was weird, granted.
Yep.
But, for the most part, outside of their core, again, it's they'll win the cup or not, they'll miss the playoffs because it's basically impossible to miss the playoffs with that core. So it's either, you have what it takes to win the cup or you'll just completely fizzle out against Montreal. The constant is the core, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. What changes is the guys around them. What changed for Pittsburgh is they didn't get good performances out of Mark Donk and Buzz Flibbit. And the Leafs needed better performances out of Mark Donk and Buzz Flibbit. The problem is they don't have Mark Donk and Buzz Flibbit. They have Kasperi Kapanen making over 3, Andreas Janssen making over 3, Alex Kerfoot making over 3.
Who's Pittsburgh got?
Who's Buzz Flibbit and Mark Donk?
Well, what I'm trying to say,
they got Gensel, Zucker.
Mm-hmm. And what's interesting,
Sherry is very. There's some Chicago Blackhawks vibes to that trade. The whole getting the band back together vibes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jack Johnson too. He's Crosby's friend. Let's give him a 5-year deal. Come on. Let's not pretend like that was going to happen anywhere else. No one else is giving Jack Johnson 5 years at $3 million per. Come on. Also,
listen.
No. Hold on. Let me
Adam and I are friends. He doesn't want me to be his defense partner.
You probably don't want me to either. I stink.
I'd much rather have you.
Let me throw this at you. Okay, Jesse, Steve, anybody who has listened this far, maybe Arvin, probably not though. He hates me.
Loves me though, so he's here.
Yeah, he probably does. But let me throw this one at you. They were beaten by teams who are almost totally made up. Mark Donks and Buzz Flibbits. Montreal and Columbus are Mark Donks and Buzz Flibbits. That's all they are.
People are going to be very upset for you.
Well, I mean, come on.
Dubois, Atkinson, Seth Jones.
Okay.
Goalies.
We don't listen. I respect the hell out of Columbus's system. Okay. I don't think those goalies are as good as their numbers suggest. I think Columbus plays an unbelievable defensive system. And then you look at Montreal. We told you that Carey Price, if he gets hot, they're screwed. And guess what? Carey Price was great.
Yesterday, I didn't watch most of Columbus Tampa, but I tuned into one of the overtimes. It was like the fourth overtime. I watched Korpisalo make like 20 saves. I don't think I saw him make a good one. It's Columbus.
So the Leafs.
It's Columbus.
During the comeback game that the Leafs didn't win, the other comeback game, where the Leafs were up 3-0 and they chased Korpisalo. How many high danger shots did they get at Merzlikins? How many? He's brand cold in the game, and they have a couple off the blocker and one off the glove, and boom. That's it. 3 shots. Stupid. Are we kidding?
That was definitely a fair criticism of the Leafs because they got a million shots, but none of them were they didn't look like
chest
chances. Yeah.
Oh, here's another one to the chest. Oh, Kasperi Kapanen to the chest. Like, oh, we just missed that one and went to the chest. Right?
I think
and it's not because I don't think Columbus. Let me say this. Let me just say this one thing. It's not that I don't think Columbus has great goaltending. I think they have pretty good goaltending, but I think they have a great defensive system that makes those pretty good goalies look really great. Right?
We talked way too much about Korpisalo's record and not nearly enough about Seth John's.
Yeah.
You know what I found out today? That dude, so he played 65 minutes and 6 seconds, which, first of all, is a playoff record.
That's amazing.
And therefore an NHL record on account of you're not allowed to play 65 minutes and 6 seconds of an NHL game if you're a skater. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. And unless your game goes 6 seconds past overtime, you couldn't even do it if you tried. He played more time on ice in Game 1 against Tampa than all but 2 New York Rangers total. Mika Zibanejad, Jacob Trouba. Those are the only Rangers who had more ice time through 3 games total than Seth Jones did in Game 1 against Tampa. To me, that's more impressive than what Korpisalo did, although it's amazing. They're both amazing. They're both records.
Yeah. By the way, that actually brings us to... Now, we can't say for sure that will win Selly of the Week on Sunday when we go back to it with Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. But if it's not a leading candidate right now for joy in a hockey game, I don't know what is. And that's what we're looking for. Make sure you send us your Sellies. Make sure you tag Frosted Flakes and Steve Dangle and Adam Wild and Jesse Blake. But it's not Steve Dangle. It's Steve_Dangle because, it's 2009. Now,
what?
That's when you made it, right? Didn't you make your account in 2009 and somebody else had taken the actual Steve Dangle?
Yeah, because someone working on the Nike Olympic campaign had reserved Steve Dangle for me, but then just didn't tell me for a couple months. That's funny. I started my Twitter account, and that's why it's Steve_Dangle forever.
There hot_guy_66 at hotmail.com. Let me just throw this at you. If it doesn't go to Braden Point, and again, we're going to get into the history of great Sellies in just a second here. Steve, if it doesn't get to Braden Point, what kind of celebration are you going to be looking for? Because Braden Point sort of had it all. High drama, extremely long hockey game. You got a goalie that I think, didn't Korpisalo pass Kelly Rudy for the most saves in a game?
He did, while Kelly Rudy was on the broadcast. And
that's so cool.
Beaming from ear to ear. He loves it. He loves it.
I mean, Columbus plays a great game. I mean, and listen, it's not like the Leafs were in easy. Look at what they forced Tampa to do. They made Tampa play almost 2.5 games to win a game.
Are we not giving John Tortorella enough credit for being a fantastic head coach?
I was totally, 2 years ago, I would have been like, John Tortorella's washed. Forget it. I'm wrong. I was wrong. Stupid and wrong. Hi, I'm Adam. Wrong.
He's making Jarmo Kekalainen's job way easier, especially after the summer that he had. Dude, I was carving them. I'm like, okay, the Cinderella story is over. You lost a Vezina nominee of a goalie. Tampa Bay lost a guy who could have got nominated for the Hart Trophy this year. Did he? I can't remember. He's not going to win.
You mean Columbus lost the guy?
Yes, what did I say?
You said Tampa Bay, but it's okay.
My bad.
I'm just clarifying.
Columbus lost Artemi Panarin, who had a Hart caliber season for the Rangers.
Mm-hmm. He was amazing.
And yet, here the Blue Jackets are, and here the Rangers aren't. Here the Panthers aren't.
So my next question is, if you go back in time and you were to find a celebration, Steve, that somewhat matched Braden Point's from yesterday as one of our histories of great celebration series with Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, why not eat a delicious bowl of Frosted Flakes and look some of these up on YouTube?
Why not do that?
Or just watch 7 periods of hockey. Steve?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to keep going.
No.
So much hockey. 8 periods of hockey.
That was 8? Oh, okay. There you go.
Almost a full 8. There is a man who has also had a very good season behind the bench. Very underrated. The difference is I think he's got a little bit more to work with than John Tortorella. Now, unfortunately, this guy got jobbed in Game 1 against the Bruins, partly due to officiating. Know that feel, bro! But John Tortorella, it's one thing to win a series or a game with Jonas Korpisalo or Elvis Merzlikins. It's another to win it with David Ayres. All due respect to David Ayres. He thought it was weird, too. Not every goalie who beats the Leafs gets to go on Stephen Colbert.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you watched it last night. Jonas Korpisalo was not there.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite celebrations ever is not a goal celebration. It is a Stanley Cup celebration, and it's super underrated. Everyone talks about, and after 22 years, Raymond Bourque. We're not going to talk about Raymond Bourque today. We're going to talk about a different RB, Rod Brind'Amour, hoisting the Stanley Cup for the first time. And to me, the way he hoisted the Stanley Cup is the way the Leafs fan base is going to mentally lift the Stanley Cup if it ever happens. Screaming, tears streaming down his face, and stomping his feet out of complete and sheer joy and disbelief that his scrappy group, you want to talk about a scrappy group, the 2006 Carolina Hurricanes had no business winning that Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
But if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, Rod Brind'Amour wouldn't have a giant ring on his fist. So to me, that legendary celly from years gone by, Rod Brind'Amour hoisting the first ever Stanley Cup in Carolina Hurricanes history. Oh, what a celly.
And that may not be the last Stanley Cup that he hoists with that team.
May not be. May not be. Gosh, I love that. I love when guys stick around an organization and it works out.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
It very often doesn't.
I'm a big fan of guys randomly playing for other teams. Martin Brodeur. And then getting a job randomly inside of the organization.
And then
now, I don't know if Tony the Tiger would look as positively on that move. our good personal friend Tony the Tiger. I don't know if he would look as positively on that move as Rod Brind'Amour hoisting the Stanley Cup in 2006. It was a great one.
It was a great one.
Tony, you got anything to say there, Tony? Nope, he does not.
Guys, I want to ask you, did you see how much of the double overtime, because yesterday was just the overtime thing. We had a double overtime goal. Bruins over the Hurricanes. Patrice Bergeron. Is there anybody in the NHL today that has broken more hearts in the playoffs than Patrice Bergeron? Anyone?
Justin Williams?
Maybe. Good one.
Jake Gardner.
Oh, Steven.
That's a pull-up from half-court three-pointer.
Whoa.
Disgusting.
Come on. I mean,
oh, block my James.
Wow.
No. Answer
You're
your
coming
question.
in from the side. You snipe that from the top of the circle, top corner off the crossbar.
That's a
man.
full send, man, on that
Listen,
one.
it's because I'm hurt. And Jake Gardner's in the playoffs. And
Yes, he is
so.
playing those Bruins, and he was heartbroken again with them last night. Poor guy.
He should literally win the Stanley Cup and get like he should print him hoisting the Stanley Cup on the side of a blimp and just fly it around the city of Toronto for a month. Like, just to say F you. You really should.
Well, I love Carolina. I really think if there's a team I can really get behind, it's the Carolina Hurricanes. Any team that beats the Bruins will make me happy, but I really think this has got to be a step forward year for the Carolina Hurricanes. And I know that the Carolina Hurricanes.
That's going to go up. Anyway.
Anybody listening doesn't know what you just did.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
I always forget.
Half our audience listens. You know that, right?
No.
The other half watches, one half listens. So you got to.
Yeah.
So all they heard was awkward silence and me going, that's going to go up. You know what? Don't tell him. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. Don't tell anybody.
That's gonna
Oh
go
my
up.
gosh. Wow.
What's it going to go?
Okay, guys. For
gonna go up.
Steve, you're just you're never
idiot?
not you. No, you're never not you, and I love you. Never not you.
The episode, Jesse, by the way, just it's going to go up. That's the name.
All right.
It's going to go up.
That's the worst piece of audio we've ever created, guys. Right there.
Yep.
I don't think we've ever done any worse. I really don't. That was great. All of us. That was
hashtag used to be Steve.
paused. Not great. Anyway, yeah, it did, but this is still worse. Now, let's talk about some of the other series here. Okay, we got Montreal and Philly. And listen, I know that Montreal's got a good record so far against teams from Pennsylvania. But Philadelphia is, I know that has nothing to do with anything, but it was just my Pierre Maguire look.
Pennsylvania's team's records are going to go up.
Well, okay.
This last 5 minutes has been just podcast gold.
It's been terrible. Please isolate this and upload it to YouTube so everyone can see. No, but in all honesty here, Montreal and Philly, as we all know, same with Pittsburgh. If they have a hope in hell, it's Carey Price, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to pay attention to this or not? Are we going to try to move past this?
No, I'm
We're
giving
gonna
a
pull out your
visual
Gritty
aid.
doll.
All right. So this is what you're talking about.
You're talking about Gritty versus Shea Weber, according to Steve's dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Figures.
can we get to the actual hockey
take
part?
on the series.
You're the only one not getting to it.
Philly is on fire right now.
They're on fire.
They might run into a goalie who is more on fire than their fireness.
So to quote the Joker who quoted somebody else, what happens when an unstoppable force hits an immovable object? Unstoppable force, Philadelphia Flyers. Immovable object, Carey Price. Who wins this?
The Flyers. I'm sorry.
I was convinced. I was like, Penguins. That was my attitude towards Montreal.
No.
Montreal has gained my respect.
The Penguins played like crap in the warm-up, and it should have been a bit of a warning sign. And then game 1 and game 2, like Carey Price was the better goalie for sure, but like he wasn't the only reason they won that series. He'll have to pull off a true miracle against the Philadelphia Flyers, and then, boy, will I have to take back a lot of things I've said about Carey Price because I thought that guy was cooked. I don't know if above average. First of all, I don't know if he is above average. Second of all, I don't know if above average justifies $10 million a year. But damn it, if he's able to beat the Philadelphia Flyers with a 12th seed team with a rookie playing second line center, yeah, he might be good. Just a little.
Right.
One thing I really like about the Flyers, too, is that Carter Hart in those 3 games was really, really good. It was 57 shots, and he stopped 55 of them.
He's a really good
course
goalie.
of the 2 games he played. And it's like, if they're getting offense from Scott Lawton and also amazing goaltending from Carter Hart, like, I don't know what's going to stop Philadelphia. Unless it's a goalie that's otherworldly.
Right, which Carey Price can be. But I find it interesting. Every time we talk about Carter Hart, all I can remember is the initial conversation when Ron Hextall got fired. And really what it had to do with was it wasn't really his performance as a GM. It was the team's performance. And the owner apparently getting frustrated with the fact that they wouldn't bring Carter Hart up because Ron Hextall wanted him to have more time. And we all thought this seems a bit odd. Like Ron Hextall seems like, that's not too crazy of an idea to want to season a goalie a little bit longer. I think Carter Hart was 21. And then, the second they fired him,
20.
Philadelphia brought him up and said, now.
There you are.
Flipping now.
Here you are.
And I thought, okay, this is the Flyers being wacky doodle, right? They're going to do this to another goalie because they've never had a good goalie. And here the Flyers are, the first, goalie that looks like something since John Van Beesbrook and before that, Bernie Perrant.
Roman Czechmanic. No.
No. Bobrovsky traded him. Who else have they had? They've had they've had just a parade.
Robert Esch.
Oh yeah, my God, Brian Boucher.
Boucher.
Yeah, there was some they had a lot of people roll through there for a long, long time, and the Flyers' knock has always been, "Where's the goalie? Where's the goalie? Where's the goalie?" Carter Hart's the goalie, and I think this is going to be great for him to go up, and this is rich for me to say, but imagine you're Carter Hart and you want to be the best goalie in the league and you got the skills to do it. No one can deny that Carter Hart has the talent to be the best goalie in this league. I don't think that's deniable now. He's not there yet. But he's going up against a gold medal winning goalie who makes $10 million a year forever from now.
We talk a lot.
Carey Price got that contract, and Carter Hart, I think, will probably look at him and go and probably learn something in this series. Whether it's a win or a loss for Philly, and I happen to think it'll be a big win, Carter Hart's going to learn something. And if I'm going up against the Flyers after the Montreal Canadiens, I'm scared about that. Because the worst thing is that Carter Hart gets better if you're not a Flyers fan. And he will.
We talk an awful lot about Korshkov getting drafted ahead of DeBrincat.
Oh.
We do not talk nearly enough about Korshkov getting drafted instead of Carter Hart.
Now, was he even on the Leafs radar?
He should have been.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the best goalie from that draft. There's been too much of an overcorrection of you can't draft a goalie in the first round just because so many teams have gotten bit by it. And now it looks like Askarov probably will in 2020. I remember all the hype about Carter Hart going into that draft. And he's one of those picks where you're like, based on all the hype, why didn't he go in the first round?
Mm-hmm.
How did that guy go 35th or whatever it was? It doesn't make any sense to me. And at 21 years of age, actually tomorrow is his birthday. Tomorrow he will be 22. He's already got a 9-17 season under his belt and a 9-14. This was the only thing that gave me pause with Carter Hart heading into these playoffs is he was the best home goalie in the league. He was a 930 or 40. Stupid. His record was 20-4. And on the road, he was very run-of-the-mill. Now, every game is technically on the road, I guess, from a goalie standpoint. So I don't know how that's going to work for him. But the way the Flyers are clicking, it obviously doesn't seem to bother him. Carey Price would have to play the best hockey of his life. The best hockey of his life to beat the Flyers. I don't see it happening.
We shall see. Yeah. And if he does, he might have already won the Conn Smythe. If Carey Price pulls this out, he may be the first goalie to win a series, just one, and win the Conn Smythe.
They should really come up with another trophy to hand out. Just the mini Conn Smythe. Just the one that you very obviously give to Carey Price.
The Stafford Smythe. We'll call it the Stafford.
Yeah, and you give it to Jeff Petrie or something. Because you really should get an award for finishing second to Carey Price.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I want to talk about the series that I'm actually most interested in, besides Carolina-Boston, because I think that's going to be a really good one. Obviously, we saw a really great game. I think that not enough is being made about Barry Trotz and the Islanders going up against his old team, the Caps. Islanders-Caps is going to be a fun series to watch. Now, the Islanders do play that defensive system that we all, but it works for them. And it worked for them against Florida, which we all sort of thought it would. It was kind of a steamroller series anyway. But what I'm curious about is, how does a team that knows Barry Trotz's system as well as the Caps players do, because there hasn't been a ton of turnover there. There's been a few players here and there, but most of the core is still intact. They know what Barry Trotz is going to do and how he's going to deploy this team. And if we're rating side by side in NHL, EA Sports NHL 20, the Capitals have a better team on paper. But Barry Trotz also knows those players very well, knows what makes them tick, knows how to get inside their head, right? He won a cup with them. He lost multiple second-round series with them. So who's got the edge when it comes to the Capitals versus Barry Trotz? In that matchup alone, who do you give the edge to? Is it the players or is it the coach who knows the players?
Always the coach.
Yeah.
100% always the coach. It's a huge monkey wrench in this series. If Barry Trotz is not the former coach of the Washington Capitals that won a Stanley Cup with them, I give the Caps the edge. It's really hard for me to do that with Barry Trotz. The one mental thing, though, that I'll give the Caps the advantage for is they play their best hockey when it looks like that group is about to get demolished. And Braden Holtby might be done there. He might be done there after this year because he's going to make a lot of money, and Ilya Samsonov is probably going to take over from him. And Phoenix Copley, one of my favorite names in the NHL from North Pole, Alaska.
All right.
Could, rock on. He could potentially be the backup there. But with Braden Holtby's future looking so uncertain and just how 2018 went, you never know. The Capitals could pull it off. But I see this one going the distance because I think the Caps are better on paper, but Barry Trotz will be the better coach. And when it comes to a one-game winner-take-all, who wins?
And if you're giving the edge to the coach,
it's the coach. I think they might beat him.
Well, and let's not forget, Semyon Varlamov's been great. Truly. No one's talking about it. That guy's revived his career. They have a great goaltending coach in the island. That's the second guy in 2 years that's revived his career. Number two, as much as Andy Green was not the guy that the Islanders needed, I mean, Johnny Boychuk, we'll see where his health's at for this series. I haven't actually heard any confirmation on that. Johnny Boychuk's very important to this Islanders team. But Jean-Gabriel Pageau came up big for the Islanders against Florida. And I think that as much as people were like, I'm not really sure about that money, I'm not really sure about this, I think he's going to be a major factor in this series for the Islanders. And I think he really likes being an Islander. And you know when you come out of a really tough relationship and you find your freedom again a little bit and you start having some fun? I think Jean-Gabriel Pageau just came out of a really tough relationship, really tough situation. He's in a bit of a new relationship, and he's having a blast.
Playoff Pageau is no joke.
No joke. And if you're a Senators fan, you know that.
Yep.
I mean, if you watched the Senators almost make the Stanley Cup final not 2-3 years ago.
If you're a Rangers fan, you know that.
So
they'll drop 4 goals on your head.
Yep. Very interesting series.
Can I let you guys know something?
Sure.
About this series?
Mm-hmm.
A fact that has yet to be proven yet.
Oh.
It's not going to be close.
Whoa. All right. Hot take. Here we go.
The Islanders are going to own this entire series. They're going to demolish the Capitals because the Capitals proved in the 3 games that they've played so far that they can't put the puck in the back of the net. They couldn't score in their 3 games. And what do the Islanders excel at? Shutting down teams. It's a perfect matchup for them. They're gonna be extraordinary this entire series. It's gonna be like 5 games. The Capitals might sneak in 1. Ovechkin had, I think it was 10 shots in the first 3 games, 0 goals, 0 points. Kuzi had 1 point. Wilson had 1 point. They couldn't score. They couldn't get anything going. And the Islanders are going to walk in there, in Toronto, and they're going to shut them down. It's going to be a 5-game or a 4-game series.
But like,
you know what I think we learned?
Were sort of silly, weren't they?
Yeah, you know what I think we learned is the round robin games were a lie. They were a lie.
Boston wasn't good either. Boston wasn't great.
Boston was awful. They didn't look like they could beat anybody.
No, they got crushed by the Flyers. Crushed.
Like,
sort of like.
I was looking at the qualifier and going, which one of the teams in the qualifier right now would lose to the Bruins? And my list looked short for a while, just the way that they looked.
You guys watch. When those games play out, the Islanders are going to dominate. Varlama's going to look great, and the series will be over quickly.
Quickly. My
girl.
goodness.
Girl, please. Okay. All right, we'll see.
Okay.
I just don't think... Like, I respect the bet that you're placing, Jesse, but I would not sleep on Alexander Ovechkin in the playoffs for long. Especially because it's the real playoffs.
Do you see wakes him up, then, yeah, I won't sleep on him, but he hasn't arrived yet.
Do you see how our brains go from regular season brain to playoff brain? Like, a couple of weeks ago, we would have never picked the Islanders to beat the Caps. But it's playoff brain now. And now you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, the coaching, and I look at everything the Leafs just went through, and I certainly knows what I know what it takes to lose in the playoffs. So, you know what? I could see the Islanders winning.
Hey, I got a question for you. Which of these two lineups would Cody Ceci figure in? Which team would address them? Serious question. Which team would have addressed him in this series?
Hit me with the names. You got them?
Oh, you want me to pull up Daily Faceoff?
No, you're right. Jesse's right. That's a good producer's note. Producer's note.
Could Cody Ceci make the Capitals or the Islanders?
Yes.
Run down their lines.
Okay. Line combinations. We're going to start with
Could he fit
the Islanders. We're going to start with the Islanders, okay? Would Cody Ceci play on the Islanders? Pelech, Polak, Taze, Mayfield, Leddy, Green. No Boychuk right now.
Roman?
No.
Roman Polak?
Not Roman Polak. No.
Ryan Polak.
Polak.
Okay.
Not Polak
or whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's close, okay? And then we've got the Washington Capitals, do we not?
Yep.
Okay, let me pull that up. Brandon Dillon, Dmitry Orlov, Michael Kempney, Martin Verhaeghe.
Who?
Martin Verhaeghe. Jonas Siegenthaler and Nick Jensen. Siegenthaler. I got to watch more Caps games.
Oh, my God. Really?
Cody Ceci make that lineup?
He might.
Yeah, did someone get hurt?
But there's Orlov, Verhaeghe, and Jensen on the right side.
I have no idea who you're talking about, so I have to look it up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, legit. Who the hell is this?
I've never heard of him.
Martin. We found the Capitals' Mark Dunk. I've never heard this name, read it, or seen that face.
If you've never heard it, then I don't feel bad.
I've never seen this person my entire life.
Caps fans actually, he's the next Schultz, or sorry, Schmidt. He's the next Schmidt. He's
Bratislava, Slovakia. He's a second-round pick from 2018.
Okay.
Okay.
So Scott Wheeler knows him.
Probably.
I mean, really, that's the guy who knows drafts better than anybody I know. Scott Wheeler. So Scott Wheeler knows him. Do the Caps know him? Have they met him yet? Or
I've never heard this.
Taking his hand, signed him to a contract, any of that?
He's one of 2 players from the 2018 second round to play in the NHL.
Okay.
Very neat.
So does Cody Ceci draw in with the Washington Capitals?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's one half.
So I changed my pick to the Islanders.
All right. Wow, that's interesting. And now we're probably going to get burned on that now. Islanders fans definitely don't want us picking them because they're like, okay, now let's get to the Western Conference. We've already had the Golden Knights and Blackhawks played a game already. They're going to play a game again tomorrow. They played last night. Golden Knights won 4-1 over Chicago. Is that really a surprise? I mean, you would think a team that is truly much more complete than even the Oilers were in terms of balance.
Yeah.
And Marc-Andre Fleury in the playoffs.
Duncan Keith can't play. Like, he needs to do what Seth Jones did, but in 3 periods. And that's just not possible.
I saw this on Twitter. When was it? Yesterday, I think it was. And somebody was asking the question if the NHL should be embarrassed that an expansion franchise has come in and looked like the most dominant franchise for the last 2 years. And you have
it's good for business.
And you
We're
have
past
teams
that.
like the Leafs who have been around for 100+ years who struggle to win around and make.
No, the only team that should be embarrassed about the Leafs is the Leafs.
The NBA should be embarrassed that the Raptors won and the New York Knicks can't make the playoffs. Like, it's embarrassing for those franchises
When
individually.
it's an expansion friend, like they didn't have a player on their team in 20.
Right, but I don't like. And I know what you're saying, but I don't like the idea that an expansion franchise comes in and then is doomed to 5 years of shit before they can even get a sniff at the playoffs. It's not good for business. You look at what the Columbus Blue Jackets went through, the Predators went through, the Wild went through. Who else came in with them? There was 4 teams.
Preds, Blue Jackets,
and the
Wild.
Thrashers no longer exist. You know, this is the thing. If you are bringing a team, if you're okay, I'm rich guy. I'm rich billionaire guy. I want a toy. And my toy is not a car, it's not a house, it's not a helicopter, it's an NHL team. So I'm rich guy, but I'm not that rich, because if I was that rich, I'd buy a football team or an NBA team. Let's be honest. Okay? Right? Let's be honest. Because I'd actually like to make a little bit of money here. But I guess I'll go settle for the NHL. So I'm going to buy into the NHL. And my tag to do this is $750 million. That's how much the license fee for the Kraken was. Now I got to build an arena with the city too, which I'm probably footing at least half the bill on. So that's $300 or $400 million. So you're up to $1 billion now before you've even set foot on the ice.
Yeah.
And you're going to sell me on the fact that my team's also going to not have any gate for the first 5 years in the playoffs when you make complete profit because you're not paying the players anymore? Yeah, I don't think I'll be paying that price.
You walk into a toy store, Adam. The toy store needs your money. You need the toy. But imagine the sales pitch is, this toy is going to suck ass for half a decade. You're not buying that toy.
Yeah.
No, to me, it's not something to be ashamed of. That's how I looked at it at the time. It should be the new model.
Good business.
A new team comes in. I mean, listen, Seattle could, maybe teams learned lessons from Vegas, and Seattle comes in and they suck.
Yeah.
But, you're not guaranteed a good team. You're just guaranteed a shot at it, which teams just weren't before. You're not marching into an 82-game NHL season and your best player is Kelly Buchberger.
Yeah, your captain's Kelly Buck or Andrew Brunette, who was selected by all expansion teams.
Oh,
it's brutal. Yeah, no. I think if you're going to sell a billionaire on something, you got to sell them on some sort of potential for success. And if the NHL wants to, charge these gigantic fees, especially now with the pandemic, the NHL is for sure pulling for Seattle to make the playoffs next year. And clearly their model is, let's go beyond the 30-team thing here. Like let's just look at the NHL. Let's pull out and look at the NHL as a group right now. What is their strategy? The strategy for the NHL is to go into markets now that don't have a major team. But they've done it with Vegas, and now they're doing it with Seattle. They're going to do it with Kansas. They might do it with Quebec City, but frankly, I'm not really sure. Unless you get an owner like Winnipeg has, you got to find an owner that can light $20 million on fire every year.
Yeah,
that's what you have to have. And let's be honest,
Celine Dion has to step in.
The owners, the owners of the Jets can do that. They're the 50th richest family in the world. Probably I think they're the top richest family in Canada. Like they're, and there's MTS and all that, whatever. The point is, the NHL is going to go for quantity in terms of brands. They're going to try to beat the other leagues in just access to teams.
Right.
And
it's not a bad strategy.
I think it's a great strategy because, for some reason, baseball got to 30 teams, basketball got to 30 teams. What's football at, 32?
32.
And they've all sort of stopped there. What's the NHL look at 40 teams? And you've seen how great the playoffs are already. Imagine the playoffs with 20 teams in them, or 22 or whatever it would need to be. I don't know how the brackets would work. 20, because 50% of the teams, a little over 50% of the teams have to make the playoffs. So they're going to expand the playoffs eventually. Imagine how good it looks with 5 rounds of just carnage. It's going to be amazing. And you get to sell the owners on an extra round of playoff gate? Hell yes. And you get to sell Rogers and NBC and whoever else wants to buy the rights to the NHL on more playoff games? Hell yes, because I can make money off that. It's a great strategy. And it's going to be the one. The only thing that the NHL is lacking, and we've talked about this, is outreach to youth. They're still struggling with that. Hockey as a game is shrinking. And the NHL has an interest in expanding that back out. In places like Arizona, there's success stories there. Places like Los Angeles, like California, major success stories. Places like Ontario, hockey hotbed, scary.
It's a very exclusive club.
So that's something that's going to be NHL's major challenge. Is it's not just 5 years from now; it's going to be 25 years from now. How many players are we going to be able to draw from that are North American? And that's a real problem. And I think, but I do think that the strategy for the NHL is quantity. Get me more teams. We can operate with smaller budgets. We can bring in, small B billionaires rather than big B billionaires. It may not be, Jerry Jones, but it might be a guy who has 2 or 3 billion, like Eugene Melnyk, right? Wow. Eugene Melnyk's he's a small B billionaire. He's a billionaire, but he's not that rich, right? They're obviously still having troubles with the Senators.
I don't understand rich.
I don't understand it. Well, a lot of it, you can understand. A lot of value is
rich are.
Yeah, no, a lot of value, and I would think this might be the case for him, although I have no idea what his finances look like. It's like owning your house and being cash poor, right? So I own my house outright. I'm worth whatever my house. So your house is worth $500,000. I am worth $500,000, but I've only got $20 at the end of the month because your bills, liquid cash, is not high, but your equity is high, and I would imagine that's what's going on. That's just a thought. I don't know. Next series we got to talk about: Arizona Coyotes, Colorado Avalanche. They're playing tonight. Well, they're playing this afternoon actually at 5:30. I would want to play Arizona. And you know who said I wouldn't want my team to play Arizona? Producer Drew, who Steve worked with on the Dangets. Producer Drew, an unabashed Avalanche fan.
Huge.
Did not want the Avalanche to play the Coyotes. The Coyotes, rightfully so, are starting to spook people a little bit. It's nice to see.
They are, or Darcy Kemper is what everyone thinks Eunice Korpisalo and Carey Price is in these playoffs. An actual series-stealing goalie. And not one that necessarily is getting saved by a system. That dude stops pucks. A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good. But it's like I said with Chicago and Vegas. Arizona is feisty. They'll be in there. Kemper will make some saves. But they will not be able to weather the storm. Waves crashing against the shore. You are not going to be able to withstand the Colorado Avalanche. It's nothing against the Coyotes. The Avs and Flyers, to me, are the 2 clear cup favorites with, maybe the Bruins and Blues in there as well.
Jesse, what do you say about that series?
I'm taking the Arizona Coyotes.
Oh.
I've been wrong too many times for me to trust myself right now.
Okay, I'm into it.
I don't think Colorado shows up. I think the top guys underperform in this series. There's nothing has proven to me in the past that they are playoff performers. I don't care if you have Hart trophies. I don't care if you have scoring titles. I don't care how many assists you put up in the 82 games of the regular season. You got to show up on game 83 and beyond. So I'm going to bet on the Arizona Coyotes. The Arizona fans have been on this entire podcast for us not believing in them. So I'm standing up on my lonesome on top of this mountain and saying, I believe in you, Coyotes. You're going to do it. You're going to slay this dragon, this supposed dragon. When you reveal the dragon, it's actually a little kitty cat, the Colorado Avalanche. And the Coyotes are going to eat that kitty cat.
Wow.
That's where I'm going.
Wow. They're going to steal it right from the front yard.
Right.
I'm going to go with the Arizona Coyotes.
Thank you.
Because I have wanted to believe in the Coyotes the Coyotes are my Carolina West.
Mm-hmm.
I have wanted to believe in them for years. And I think Colorado has some pretty high expectations on them. And I think there is one guy that gives you the real reason. And I understand that. Let's be honest. The sun and the moon revolve around Nathan MacKinnon when it comes to the Avalanche. It's Nathan MacKinnon.
One guy doesn't make a team in hockey. These playoffs have proved that.
And you know who's won a cup? Phil Kessel.
Phil Kessel.
You know who else won a cup?
I went through the Rolodex.
Nicholas Chalmerson. Big names. You know who hasn't won a cup who's really pissed off about it? Oliver Ekman-Larsson. You know who hasn't won a cup and is super in need of a really great playoff to make back some of the money that he's going to lose this offseason?
Say it.
Taylor Hall.
Oh, he said it!
Thank you, sir.
Guys, I think this series comes down to who's got more to lose. And if I am any of those Coyotes players, more to lose than the Avalanche do. The Avalanche will be good next year. Coyotes may not be together next year. Yeah. I think there's a lot going in the Coyotes' favor. I like the Coyotes. I could be crazy. I could regret it. Hey, I've made worse predictions than this. I like Darcy Kemper a lot too. Just throwing that out there.
This might be the only podcast.
What's that?
High five me.
This might be the only podcast in the world where someone got outnumbered betting on the Avalanche to beat the Coyotes. Okay, boys. Okay. We'll see. I mean, my qualifying bets were shit, so.
Yeah, right? Who knows? Hockey's a weird game. Now we've got Vancouver and we've got St. Louis. Good series. Strong series. Young team. Yeah. Although Vancouver's not as young as everybody says they are. Their stars are young. But Markstrom's not young. Beagle's not young. Sutter's not young. Beagle's won a cup. Rousseau is not young. Most of the Vancouver Canucks, Chris Tanev is not young. These are not mostly not young Canucks except for the high-end guys. Besser, Horvat, I guess, is sort of still young. Pettersson, obviously, still young.
Quinn Hughes.
Yep. A lot of talent on that Canucks team. A lot of talent. And they're going into cap hell after this year. Now, St. Louis, Stanley Cup winner. What do we think?
The two most common things that happen in a series like this is the older team that's been there before completely suns the team that hasn't, which would be the Blues beating the Vancouver Canucks soundly, or the Vancouver Canucks put up a hell of a fight against the St. Louis Blues and scare them, but ultimately fall. To me, all signs point to the Blues winning this series. The Canucks would have to pull out something truly special in order to pull this one off. I just don't see them doing it. They can play the best series they possibly could. I don't think they could beat the Blues. That's how much I like the Blues.
Jesse.
There's too many Stanley Cup champions from last year still on the Blues.
All of the major ones. All the ones that matter.
Tarasenko, O'Reilly, Steen,
Pietrangelo, Binnington.
Yeah, they're all there. I'm not going to – I think they go on a deep run just by default. Like, you did it last year. You're still good. You've proven that you're still one of the top teams. It's not like they fell off during the regular season.
Nope.
St. Louis is they're great, and that's all they've remained for the last 365 days. So I'm going to take St. Louis over Vancouver.
Adam, let me guess. The Coyotes.
I will take St. Louis as well. And I think this is going to be, when it comes to likability, the St. Louis Blues are not the most likable team in this series. They're not.
I thought you were about to say they're likable. I'm like, no.
No, they're not. They're not. They're the least likable team because they won the cup. Yeah. You can't be a likable team and win the cup. You got to be. The Canucks are likable. They're plucky. Plucky. I love that word because there's so much to it.
It's a good word.
Plucky. Young-ish. Overpaid on the old end, but
I don't like
young-ish.
the reason for liking the word, but go ahead.
He's right for the wrong reasons, Jesse.
But, and again, Markstrom is a fantastic goaltender, but I just don't think the talent matches up. I just don't think that. I think St. Louis is a real team where it's wave after wave after wave. And I think this will be a great learning experiment for the Canucks. I think all those young guys are really going to learn from this. I think this is great. I mean, if you got a young team loaded with young superstar talent like they do, and you're going up against the Stanley Cup champions, if you're the GM, this is found money. You can't lose. You've made the playoffs. You got a great goalie. You got some good veteran leadership. You're going to have to dump some of that in the offseason. And your young guys are going to find out what it takes to win. And they're going to lose, but they're going to find out what it takes to win. I like this series for the Canucks. They will not win it, but I really like where they're headed as soon as they figure out their cap situation. So likable team, Vancouver. Winning team, St. Louis in this series for me. Now, we're going to get to the last one, and this series I think is actually going to be one of the more interesting ones. And I'm sort of split on it. Calgary did take game 1 against Dallas a couple nights ago. Last night. They're going to play again tomorrow night. 3-2. Guys, who takes this series? Calgary is better than we thought. They were better in that play-in round than we thought. But Dallas plays pretty smothering hockey.
Well, Adam, what happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object? With the Dallas Stars, we have Ben Bishop making lots of saves in a lots of saves sort of system with the Dallas Stars. And with the Calgary Flames, we have the first ever 5-game point streak to open the playoffs ever in Calgary Flames history from Milan Lucic, who someone got Milan Lucic a 2011 calendar for his birthday, and he has been riding that thing.
Yeah.
What is going on there? What is going on there? And like, I'm watching the highlights. I'm like, I bet it's all crap. This guy's slinging sauce, sick passes, flying. He's part of a depth line that, what did I tell you? Makes it a lot easier for the big guns, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Johnny Gaudreau, he can never get it done. This makes his job way easier. If Milan Lucic and Dylan Dubas are coming in big for the Flames, these guys are going to mess around and sleepwalk to the second round of the playoffs.
You think so, huh?
Unless Dallas wakes up, because they were awful in the round robin. They were really bad.
Yeah,
they were really bad.
But let's not forget, Dallas was a very, very good team. Very, very good team, and they have Ben Bishop.
They have time to wake up. First game went to overtime.
Yep.
So I'm obviously not saying Calgary is going to sleep their way to the second round of the playoffs, because I don't think that's a thing you can do in the National Hockey League. But they're not playing like the Flames I was talking about heading into these playoffs, which is really bad news for Dallas.
Jesse.
I don't want us to believe that we could be so wrong about the Calgary Flames. Nobody sitting here, I don't think the general hockey population believed in Calgary. I don't think anybody thought they would give up a fight as much as they had. I don't think anybody thought they'd show up this much and play this well. So I'm going to bet on the majority of people still being right about the Flames. I'm gonna take Dallas in this series, and that Cinderella loses her glass slipper at some point here in these 7 games, and that Dallas will take 4 of these.
Well, can I be a dick?
Sure.
Calgary would have to win the second round
to not be a Cinderella.
To convince me that I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's not unfair at all.
They beat the Jets. They beat the Stars. I still won't be convinced that I'm wrong about them.
Because nobody thinks they're good.
Well, remember, this is the first round.
Yeah.
This is the first round.
No, but the Jets were banged up and the Stars are playing like shit. Yeah. So whoever they get in the second round, it's your job to show me whether or not I was wrong.
Agreed. Okay, that's fair. Now, I'm going to give this to the Dallas Stars as well, because one thing that we've seen, and I'm only basing this off history, okay? One thing that we have seen is, and we saw this with Colorado, the Flames scorers got smothered. They did. They got smothered last year. They didn't have Milan Lucic. Who knew he'd be an X factor? But Tkachuk was in the Winnipeg series, obviously. He could be again. But I think this Dallas team is old enough and good enough to know that they can smother these guys, or at least 3 or 4 of them. And when you have Ben Bishop in net, I mean, if you look at the series, who do you give is it Cam Talbot or Ben Bishop? And that's what it comes down to. And for me, Ben Bishop all day, every day. Ben and Sagan are going to wake up. This is a great defensive Dallas team that can score from time to time. I think it's going to be Dallas ultimately in the end. But I agree with, I believe it was you, Jesse, that nobody could have seen this. It's nice to see, especially for Flames fans. They surprised us, and that's great. Because as a Leaf fan, that gives me hope. Yeah. Certainly more than data about Cody Ceci gives me hope.
Yeah.
It does.
If you're going to bet on Milan Lucic keeping this up, you're going to bet against it,
Yeah, I'll bet against it, but I'd like to see it. Yeah. Does that make sense? And I think I give the likability factor. Calgary is the more likable team in this.
Whoa, interesting.
Dallas is the better team and should win it.
Underrated about this series, the losing fan base has to stop wearing cowboy hats.
Whoa, damn. It's Texas North versus Texas South. Let's go. Or just Texas.
Don't mess with both Texases. Don't mess with North Texas. What a shitty tagline. Calgary's got to fix it. Do you believe that's that's the provincial thing for Alberta is don't mess with North Texas?
What's the Mayor Nenshi?
It is not. Shut up.
Isn't that Nenshi's slogan?
Yes, that's how he won re-election.
Yeah.
All right, boys, let's do the press conference. We got about 12 minutes here. Let's do it.
12 minutes. All right.
Mayor Nenshi starting every press conference with "Howdy,
The
y'all."
Steve Dangle
Welcome
Press
to North
Conference.
Texas.
This one comes from Cherry_life. Cheery_life, I think. Do you think Dermott will become a top 3-4 D man? He only played 18 minutes in Game 5. Seemingly, the team doesn't have confidence to depend on him for big minutes. What do you think of his play?
The thing that is such a bummer for me about him is, because I keep thinking to myself, it's dumb to trade away a player that young.
Mm-hmm.
It's dumb to trade away a player as young as Nylander, as young as Marner. Yeah.
No.
As young as Matthews, as young as... It's kind of dumb to trade away anyway, but anyone before they're like 23. But you see these guys take steps. Is he any better than when he arrived in this league?
I haven't seen a real step forward from him, and this is just me, and there's been an injury in there too, right? He had a big injury.
Yes.
2 seasons. Haven't seen a step forward.
And
that's just my opinion.
He's so weird because, the way I talk about Cody Ceci is very disrespectful, but, is it
disrespectful or is it truthful, Steve?
He doesn't
what does
have
your
talent.
data tell you?
My data, compared to other NHL players, is he doesn't have talent. And I look at Travis Dermott, and that guy's got a ton of talent. He's
loaded,
fast, can do things with his hands. He's creative, and man, I think he's too creative. He's just, I never know what he's going to do any given shift. But he has all the ingredients. He reminds me of Bozak a little bit. Where Bozak is clearly a very talented player that just often did bonehead things. He was very confusing. Yes, Adam?
Well, to bring up, first off, I'm going to just say this. Travis Dermott is the young Jake Gardiner, right? He is the anxiety thinker. All the talent in the world. He does have all the talent in the world.
Yeah, but Gardner would give you games where you're like, oh, that's why.
And I'm with you.
And we don't get that.
We don't get that. You're right. Not yet. Now, do I think they should trade Dermott? Absolutely not. If I am management for the Toronto Maple Leafs, I look at what are we not doing to support this extremely young, talented player? And you know what they're not doing? It's the same thing they did with Tyler Bozak. They're throwing him into a position he's not ready for yet. And why are they doing that? Because they're thin as hell on D, and they won't make a move. They refused to make a move last summer to really get it done. I mean, they tried it with Tyson Barrie, but let's be honest. Nobody even thought with Tyson Barrie. It was like, wow, we felt it was better, but the bar was pretty low. Put Travis Dermott in a position to succeed. I don't know, play him with the guy who's somewhat like Morgan Riley. Oh, no, it's his offside. We can't play that. We'd rather have Cody Ceci there. Travis Dermott should be in the lineup every night.
Mm-hmm.
But Leafs management and development staff at the NHL level need to understand why he hasn't taken a step forward. I think injury is a part of it. I'm sure there's numbers that are going to be thrown my way afterwards that say he is better. And that's fair. He should be. But it ain't much. It's not like you can throw him out there in big game situations and think he's going to dominate. He can't. He's not there yet. But he's got the tools. Yeah. So what do they need to do to get him to that next level? And that's a big one. If Travis Dermott can become what we think Travis Dermott can become, which is a pretty good 3-4 guy, that's a big problem solved for the Leafs, is it not?
It sure is.
There's a trade that you don't have to make.
And seems like we talked about thanking you on and off the ice. Seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't cause headaches.
Never doesn't try. Never doesn't try.
always there with the effort. He's going to be 24 when the next season begins. All right, he's 23 now. He's going to be 24 when the next season begins. Nothing about his performance and nothing about his production suggests he's in for a big payday.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever gets you the cheapest cap hit possible, whether it's a longer deal or a shorter deal, I think the Leafs can actually take advantage of this negotiation. You know, you're not.
They should.
You're not walking in. Yeah, you're not walking into a Mitch Marner negotiation. Guy just threw up 90 points with John Tavares. You're walking into, honestly, we could trade you. And you're earnestly saying that. You know what I mean? I would like Travis Dermott to be a Leaf. I would like him to be a Leaf for a long time. I would like him to take a step. And he could be exactly what they need, which is cheap. Super duper cheap. You can play him on the left. You could play him on the right. They're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm. You know what I want Travis Dermott to do? I want him to be so good coming into next training camp that it's undeniable that he runs the second power play.
There you go.
Unless they get that next big guy on the right side. Like if they were to get a Pietrangelo and you're like, well, that's an Olympian and whatever. But Travis Dermott, if the Leafs get a bunch of filler, which they probably will, I don't know how big they're going to go on defense. As Dubas said today, and he's right, the Seth Jones trades are just not out there, right? You can't just make them. You can't force them. They have to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Travis Dermott, if I'm going into this offseason, my goal is to be so good that they cannot deny me the one defensive spot on the second power play next year. That's got to be my goal.
I mean, the Leafs,
undeniable. You have to give it to me because I'm so good, and he's got the talent. I want to see him put it together.
Teams that are out basically get 2 summers.
Yeah,
like you got like 5 months to figure out where you were at, and Travis Dermott did not have a last summer, right?
Right.
You got a bit of an evaluation period with 5 games plus the warm-up, and now you get your next summer. Basically, you get another off season, and you know it's a team full of young men. Get a chance to put on a bunch of meat, harder, better, faster, stronger, all that stuff, and he fits right in there. I don't know exactly what the future holds for him, but it would be cool to see him back in the team, and he can't ask for much.
Right. I think they're crazy to trade him. I think he's on the team, and I think he takes a step forward.
You just don't get any value for him.
Well, no, that too.
So keep him.
Jesse, next question. Last one.
Do we got time for another one?
We do.
All right. Let's see here. We have a question from a quick note from Andrew Berkshire. Andrew wants to know when it becomes a Raptors podcast.
Soon, man. Soon.
And then our final question comes from...
I hate you, Andrew.
265 kilometers on Twitter. His name is Dan.
Hey, Dan. I know Dan.
Do the Leafs need to nuke their entire coaching staff besides Sheldon Keefe?
No.
Between the Leafs and Marlies this season, it was brutal.
Yes.
Advanced stats after Keefe left had them looking like the Carlisle-era Leafs.
Yes.
He's right.
Do you get rid of all the assistants and everybody on the big club?
No. McFarland's already gone. Elliott floated this. A bunch of people on Leafs Twitter have floated this. Bruce Boudreau has floated this and flirted with this. Spend what you got to spend. Bring Brucey home and make him the head of the offense.
Yeah!
Because he doesn't need to be the head coach here. Just bring Uncle Bruce home to the team that wants him. He wants the team. And let Bruce take over.
Let's get over the Game 7 hump together, Bruce.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's true.
Come on.
You're ready. He knows what it's like to lose in the first round.
Oh, I didn't know humans could turn the shade of red that he turns every Game 7. I tell you what, I want him to be the Leafs assistant coach. I think he'll do a great job. If the Leafs ever go to a Game 7, he's got to do it from the press box.
Remotely.
Yeah, he's got to do it on Zoom. He can't, man. I can't look at him.
Billy Bean walking on the field during the 20-game win streak, and he's like, nope, gonna go back now. You know what I mean?
I can't do it.
So Bruce Boudreau, and I would take a good hard look at what the hell happened with the Marlies this year.
Talk to Sheldon Keefe. Get his input. Sheldon Keefe just got here. like with the Leafs, not the organization, but with the Toronto Maple Leafs. This isn't what's happening to Mike Sullivan, which, by the way, is a waste of time. And we didn't really talk about it. They fired 3 assistant coaches today.
Yeah.
Which is basically what they did to Carlisle a few years ago, where I had my rant that the Leafs need a new pair of shoes, and today they fired the laces. It's a playbook as old as time.
Who did?
Yep.
Who fired the laces?
Pittsburgh.
They
fired all their assistants, but not their coach.
It's a playbook as old as time. You fire the assistants, which is like your half bullet. Then you fire the coach, and then it's you. So to me, this is just Jim Rutherford delaying the inevitable. Like, you obviously are done with Mike Sullivan. So get rid of him.
You did win back-to-back cups, so it's pretty hard to convince ownership. And it was only 2 years ago.
Well, then ownership is interfering with something they shouldn't.
They're the owners. They can do that.
Okay, well, how often does it work out?
Not often.
How often does ownership being like, I know shit, ever prove that they do?
You know, Steve, what they should do is get on TV and do an interview.
Isn't Mario Lemieux ownership?
I don't know. Is he anymore? Is he anymore? I don't know. I don't know who owns them. I do know that their ownership is very stable and good. And listen, they've won a couple cups, and it's only 2 seasons removed from that. And Matt Murray isn't Matt Murray anymore, which is weird. Yeah. I think you have to give Sullivan another shot. And you know what it comes down to a lot of? Do Crosby and Malcolm like him? Do you like him?
I guess.
Because guess who's going to be here longer?
Yeah.
All I can think of is the story that I heard that Mark Recchi, when so Mark Recchi was one of the assistants fired. Mark Recchi, when Sidney Crosby was a rookie, supposedly asked a ref during a game, "Listen, can you ding the kid with a minor to get him to shut up?" Basically, and I wonder if that's Crosby going, "Minor this." Have a seat, old man.
But they won a cup together, didn't they? Didn't they win?
They did.
The 09 Cup together? Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they did. He won cups with 3 different teams. That guy.
Yeah, Mark Recchi, underrated man. There's an underrated NHL player. That guy was great. He was amazing in Montreal with Vinny Danfus too. Crazy. Anyway. Yeah, I think with Pittsburgh, you can't fire the coach optically. It's the same thing with Babs last year. I mean, you could have fired him after Game 7, but remember, you got a board of directors to report to. Corporations don't work like that, as we told Steve at the time. And what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, Mike, you got 20 games.
Which that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
They're going to give him enough time that they can't totally screw up the series or the season. Okay, Mike, crossing my arms.
And if the Penguins are great to start next year, is it going to be because they found the secret sauce with the assistant coaches? Or is it going to be because the team that should be good is good?
Yeah, I think that's
the team that has Gensel and Zucker at the same time. Like, they lost. It's weird that they lost, all right? Yeah. Can we just say that? They didn't start their best goalie in the majority of games.
But Matt Murray wasn't bad.
No.
But yeah, he's not the best goalie.
No, not this season.
That's probably what Rutherford was like, what are you doing? So that's probably when he was like, okay, well, we're going to take away the choice then.
It's goalies are weird. Tim Thomas was the best goalie in Boston. Mm-hmm. 1 year he wasn't, and it was Tuukka Rask. The very next year, Tim Thomas was the best goalie in Boston again, and they won a Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm. Remember when Philip Grubauer started the first 2 games of the Capitals Cup run?
Yep. It's not even the first time that's happened. Jordan Binnington, where was he on the depth chart?
3rd or 4th, I want to say. So, yeah. I mean, didn't he tell Chicklets that he was really pissed about being sent down and stuff? Which, I mean, you should be. But he had a really interesting story about that.
It's an awkward, standoffish story because he was basically sent to the E because of Martin Brodeur deciding I'm all blue now randomly. And so when it was time for his assignment, or no. Brodeur going to the Blues prevented his first NHL call-up, basically. Mm. And then it's Brodeur, who is now no longer a goalie. He's in management with the Blues, going, hey, kid, you're going to the E. And Binnington just goes, no, I'm not. Imagine not just being a prospective NHL player, but being a prospective NHL goalie, staring Martin Brodeur in the face, and he's your boss, and saying no. That's a interesting conversation. And then the freaking guy won a cup. Hockey, don't bet on it.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us today. It's so nice not to talk about the Leafs. It's so much less stressful in the playoffs when the Leafs aren't in it. It's great. So
I want to talk about how they could have won.
No, please, God.
No, what?
We will see you Sunday when we will reveal the Frosted Flakes, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes goal celebration of the week. We love our Sellies here. Send them to us. Tag Steve, tag me, tag Jesse, tag Frosted Flakes. Show us what you got for that. And like and subscribe. Tell all your friends. If you really like it, Victory Puppies, let's go.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.